Hi, I just wanted to give you some feedback on the TED Talk preparation handout that you submitted. And I thought a little video might be helpful. So, as I'm looking through this, I wanted to let you know that your audience analysis looks really good. I have a few questions for you. Um, One is I'm wondering what your audience currently thinks about the importance of education. Are they all on board? Do they see it? I mean, they're here at college, so I imagine that they see it as a valuable use of their time. So, for you to help take their knowledge and appreciation of the importance of education to the next level, you'll have to do more than just tell them how important it is. You might want to spend time teaching them about how useful it is when they go on the job market and in other areas in life. I noted that for your presentation aids, presentation aid is something that you use. It's not part of the speech, but it's an aid that you use to help deliver your presentation. So an example is a PowerPoint, or you could turn in a handout. For this presentation, you're going to want to create 2 presentation aids. I recommend a PowerPoint and a handout. I think a lot of speakers use those, so they're good techniques to practice and to use in our class. If so, for a PowerPoint, you would use that when you're talking. It would just have the slides behind you and it would showcase some of your data, bring in some photos or some items to help keep your topic engaging for your audience. And a handout, this could be something that you give to your audience at the end of your speech as part of your conclusion or at some point while you're talking about your main ideas. And a nice, when you're designing a handout, you keep in mind what might be useful for your audience to have about the importance of education when they go home. So after your talk, what would be helpful for them to help them remember your ideas, but then also to continue working on improving themselves or using their education to help further their goals or to build their self-confidence. So on this handout, you might include links to potential scholarships to help with the cost of education. You could mention like the Scholar Dollar program here at DACC and at NMSU. You could talk about Pell Grants. You could talk about maybe LinkedIn or social media platforms that are used by people who are hiring, that they can start a profile of themselves and show the education that they have. Or so think about what's something that you could share with the students that would help them to take advantage of the education that they're earning or help them make sure to stay in school and get the degree. So those are things that you might want to include on your handout. So that's my feedback for you on the audience analysis. Now, as I'm looking at your handout for your introduction, first of all, I think you have a great attention getter. I think your thesis statement is really well written and straightforward. I noticed that you don't have anything yet on your credibility statement. So you might want to think about how you can integrate that credibility statement into your introduction. In a credibility statement, you would say, you want to let your audience know. Here, I'll show you it so you can, where's the camera? So you can see your credibility statement. You want to communicate to your audience why they should trust you. So how can your audience know that you're telling them the truth and that you're sharing with them important information that's backed up by research and data? So you'll want to share that. So a lot of speakers say, according to my research, or I've been researching this for a week, 2 weeks, a month, 3 months. I've been looking at this for years. I have a degree in. I am a student, and so I know the value. I've seen it firsthand, or those kinds of statements. And then you have your preview of your main ideas, which is great. So let's move on and talk about the body of your presentation. So in the body of your speech, you have a lot of really good ideas laid out. I'm curious about your organizational pattern. I think just looking at your ideas that you may be using a categorical pattern. So I don't know if that makes sense to you. And then I noted that you have your main ideas, but the way that you've written them is not in a full sentence. So you you have written here, makes you self-dependent or makes you independent, which is great, but you'll want to write it as a full sentence. So obtaining an education will help you to become independent financially and independent as a citizen. Or I'm not sure what the wording is there that makes sense, but you'll want to highlight to your audience in what ways having an education will help them to be more independent. And let them know that at the start. And then you'll elaborate on it. So you talk about financial independence. Elaborate on that. Share with us some of the steps that people need to take in order to be independent, financially independent, and how having an education will help you do that. And you might want to include a variety of supporting materials. So you can include personal stories, examples, facts, statistics, anything to kind of help elaborate and really teach your audience about these concepts. For your second main idea, you talk about how having an education turns a dream into a reality. So again, let's write that as a full sentence. Having an education turns your dream into reality by or because, and then you keep writing. And then you have some great ideas here to help your audience understand what that means. But then what information could you share with your audience that would be new? So I'll really take it to a deeper level of understanding and appreciation. And this appreciation will help them to stick with their education even when things get rough. That way they can be sure to graduate and get that certificate. And then for your last idea, you talk about how having an education increases your confidence. Again, write that main idea as a full sentence. For example, having an education makes you confident, and this helps you in life by, and kind of give a little bit more context to your idea. And then again, just remember to increase your supporting material, add those personal stories, examples, quotes, research studies. And I noticed that you don't really have any of your research included in your main ideas, so you'll want to be sure to include those source citations. So for example, you can say something like, according to Rita in 2015, according to Rita's article, Top 10 Reasons Why Education is Extremely Important, published in 2015, and then you would say the idea or quote or fact or example that you learned from that source. And you'll want to do that for all three of your sources. Then next, you have your conclusion. You can see it's coming along. You have a summary of your main ideas, but again, you want to write that in a full sentence. So something like, I hope you've learned a lot in this presentation that increases your appreciation for the importance of education and will help motivate you to finish your degree, graduate, and get that dream job. Today, we talked about how education helps you to be independent, how it helps you to turn your dreams into reality, and how it increases your self-confidence. And then you would share your purpose statement, and then you want to end on a memorable note. And it looks like you are sharing how important having an education is to you and your family. And you might want to share some of these personal experiences as a way to really personalize your presentation and help your audience to see that it's how credible you are and the value that it's added in your life, and that it could add similar value to their lives. And then you have your references. So that's great too. I only see 2, and you're going to need 3 for this presentation. So I trust that you're going to continue doing some research this weekend or between now and when you present. So thank you for your patience. I hope this video was a good way to give you some of this feedback. I didn't know if you were planning on working on it over the weekend or not. So hopefully this video will give you some of that tips to take it to the next level before you present your speech. And I'm really looking forward to seeing your presentation. You picked such an important topic. Thank you.